Patricia Gibson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm very happy to speak in this debate today, and I sincerely thank the Honourable Member for Havant for bringing it forward. And I also want to thank him for the celebratory tone with which he introduced this debate of our beautiful islands right across the United Kingdom, and recognising the unique challenges that our islands face, despite the many attractions that they offer both residents and visitors. Our islands indeed are beautiful, but we know, and we've heard today, they can be quite fragile too and deserve special and separate consideration. And that's why I'm so delighted to contribute today, representing, as I have the honour to do, the beautiful islands of Cumbrae and Arran. And we know, and we've heard today, that our islands face not only unique but common challenges that they share. And I want to say a few words about the comments that have been made so far, Mr. Chair. And we've heard beautiful pictures painted by the Honourable Member for Havant about the island of Hailing, which he has indeed made me think about visiting, because he's painted such a beautiful picture of it, such an idyllic picture. And of course we've got the beautiful islands of Auchrannie and Shetland, and of course we've heard about the Isle of Wight, and we had a roundup, if you like, from the Honourable Member for Auchrannie and Cumbrae, and I took a photograph surreptitiously, Mr. Chair, as he was paying tribute to the Scottish Government, and although this photograph won't have sound on it, it will be a moment captured in time when my honourable friend went out of his way to pay tribute to the Scottish Government. The Isle of Cumbrae, which I represent, is the main population centre. The main population centre is the town of Millport. And there are few people, Mr. Chair, who can grow up in the west of Scotland who don't have a childhood memory of cycling round Millport, the lovely island just off the seaside town of Largs, which I also have the privilege of representing. Cumbrae is a mere hop, skip and a jump from Largs, and offers the beauty and tranquility of island life whilst being extremely accessible, a short ferry ride away. And in the height of summer, Mr. Chair, there are 40 sailings each way per day to the Isle of Cumbrae, where people flock. And one of the reasons they flock there, Mr. Chair, is not just for the beautiful scenery. They often flock there too to visit the £4.2 million educational facility, the Field Studies Council, which was built in partnership with the Scottish Government and has attracted visitors and indeed scholars from right across Europe, if not the world. Arran, the Isle of Arran, is a little bit more remote and offers towering mountains and luscious rolling landscape that can, in the right light, simply take your breath away. And why do I mention these things, Mr. Chair? Well, apart from the fact, just for the sake of it, because it's such a nice thing to discuss, both these islands enjoy a huge influx of visitors, especially, but not just, but especially in high season. And I should mention, picking up the point from my honourable friend from Auchrannie and Cumbrae, that the Road Equivalent Tariff, whereby ferry fares are set on the basis of the cost of travelling an equivalent distance by road, including a fixed element to keep fares sustainable and cover fixed costs such as infrastructure. They were introduced to the island of Arran in October 2014. And when I set out the benefits of RET, I hope this is of help to the Minister as he deliberates about how to stimulate island economies and help them grow. And I would say to the Honourable Member for Auchrannie and Shetland, who expressed some disappointment that Auchrannie and Shetland appeared not to benefit from these advantages, I would say to him, and he of course will be well aware, that the Minister for Transport in Scotland announced that RET would indeed be rolled out to Auchrannie and Shetland in the first half of 2018, and that announcement was very much welcomed by your colleagues Tavish Scott and Liam MacArthur. So I'm sure the Honourable Member for Auchrannie and Shetland will also too, when he has time to reflect, that he also wishes to welcome the announcement.
I'm well on the record as welcoming the good opportunities were given to communities in the Western Isles. We've still not seen a single penny piece in the Northern Isles. Opportunities were given to communities in the Western Isles. We've still not seen a single penny piece in the Northern Isles. Surely she understands why our communities are so frustrated at the decisions taken by her government in Edinburgh.
Well, as I already said, I understand the Honourable Gentleman's frustration because we all want to fight for our constituents and get whatever advantages we can for them as soon as we can secure those advantages. But he will also remember that I said the Isle of Arran got RET in 2014, and from what he said, that was a considerable distance behind the first rollout. The fact is that the rollout is a process and a programme, and it's obviously the islands who are not at the top of the queue on this will be frustrated and impatient, and so they should be. But the fact is, RET, as he has, I suppose, suggested by his frustration, is a huge advantage, a huge benefit to island communities, and of course every island would be mad not to want to secure those advantages as soon as could possibly be arranged. The object of Road Equivalent Tariff, which is why myself and the Honourable Member for Orkney and Shetland and the Honourable Member for Arran and Cumbrae are so excited about Road Equivalent Tariff, the object of it is to increase demand for ferry services by making ferry travel much more affordable and more accessible, to increase tourism and to enhance the local and wider national economy. And my speech, Mr. Day, Mr. Chair, and in order to be as helpful to the Minister as I possibly can be, because I always try to be helpful to my colleagues, is to show him, paint a brief picture to show him the advantages of the positive impact that Road Equivalent Tariff can have if it's something he wants to consider for rolling out in the rest of the UK. Because it does help to offset some of the challenges, not all, but some of the challenges that are faced by island communities, which we've heard a wee bit about today. In the case of Arran, the Arran routes from the Brodick to Ardrossan route and the route from Clonegg and Lochranza, the stimulation of the economy has certainly been achieved. Arran's economy, Mr. Chair, if you can believe this, has grown by 10%, which is a faster rate of growth than even China. So it is indeed something to prize. And this can perhaps best be explained by the Ardrossan to Brodick route tumbling. The prices have tumbled by a massive 46% for foot passengers and an astonishing 64% reduction for cars being transported on that route. And that comes at a cost of a mere £2.4 million a year from the Scottish Government. But I can assure the Honourable Minister, and I will go on to set out the advantages that this has brought in practical terms to the island. Analysis carried out by Transport Scotland has concluded that Road Equivalent Tariff has significantly increased resident ferry travel across all journey purposes and an increase in demand for ferry services. In addition, the impact on tourism has seen such numbers increase substantially, with the season extended from Easter and peak summer to the equivalent of the whole summer timetable. So RET has enhanced the island hopping tourist market with neighbouring islands, because there's a £1.8 million investment a year from the Scottish Government supporting RET for the route between Cumbrae and Bute. We know that job markets on islands can be challenging and fragile, and we've heard a bit about that today. For Arran businesses, the impact of RET has been extremely positive, with increases cited in footfall and turnover. The largest benefit has accrued to the tourism sector, with hotels, guest houses, campsites and golf courses and visitor attractions all highlighting the positive impact of RET. Interestingly, the fact that RET has been particularly beneficial to the more remote areas of the island of Arran, particularly in the west coast. And this is surely down to the increased numbers of visitors availing themselves of the opportunity to bring their cars onto the island at a much reduced cost and exploring the farther reaches of the island beyond Brodick and beyond Lamlash. And it's very heartening to see a new £10 million distillery on Arran and major expansion of the Auchrannie Hotel and Spa, which will enhance any visitor experience. And RET has also allowed those who live out with the island to take up jobs that have been challenging to fill. Students and seasonal workers can sometimes fill these jobs, and there is even a scarcity of staff to fill the increasing demand for workers in the hospitality industry, which demonstrates the success of RET for the island. Of course, there's no denying that RET has posed challenges for some business in the retail sector, because they are becoming more and more exposed to competition with the mainland. But the studies which have been done show that the overwhelming consensus is that there has been a very positive impact on the island in terms of social, cultural and economic opportunities. But we know that connectivity is key, and this is very true of broadband connectivity for our islands. The Arran Economic Group reported last year that based on cabinet installations, over 90% of households and businesses now have access to superfast broadband, with take-up on Arran and Cumbrae around about 41%. And there have been particular issues with the area of Auchrannie on Arran, but progress is being made on this. Now, we've heard today some remarks, Mr. Chair, about connectivity in terms of broadband and mobile phone signals, and that is true. But can I say, and I always say this to my constituents as well when they raise such matters with me, the actual connectivity of broadband and mobile signal on this very estate would sometimes compare with some of the difficulties that people have on the Isle of Arran and other outlying areas in our coastal communities, because the broadband and the mobile phone signal on this estate sometimes, Mr. Chair, as you will be aware, is absolutely shocking. So that shows you the scale of the challenges that we have for our island communities if we have it in the middle of London, in the middle of the parliamentary estate. And Arran also suffers from a lack of affordable housing. And this is a challenge for the future economic growth of the island, since it has an impact on the working age population. One barrier is that 22% of homes on Arran are second homes, with a further around 59 empty homes identified, and we need to find ways of offsetting these issues alongside plans to build new affordable homes on Arran. And the Scottish Government has helped to fund 96 new homes in partnership working, and that's a start, but clearly there's much more work to be done. And we've got a £2.2 million investment from the Scottish Government on Cumbrae for amenity housing, but there's no room for complacency, and affordable housing remains a big challenge. We know that there's pressures on Scotland's budget, and I was quite bewildered by the comments from the member from the Isle of Wight, and he is standing up for his constituents, and that is exactly what he is supposed to do. But I did flinch, Mr. Chair, when he called the Barnett formula generous, given that Scotland's resource budget was cut by £211 million this year, and will be cut by £538 million next year. I'm sure that he wants more resources for the Isle of Wight, but I don't think describing the Barnett formula as generous is exactly the way to do that, of course.
Just on that point, would she not admit that Scottish Islands get two things that the Isle of Wight doesn't? The Barnett formula, whether she describes it as generous or not, Mr. Speaker, and the Scottish Islands needs allowance. They are twice more generously funded than the Isle of Wight. Thank you.
I think the islands don't benefit from the Barnett formula. Scotland is allocated funding in the Barnett formula. I still couldn't describe it as generous. I don't for 1 minute believe that he's wrong to fight for his constituents, but I still don't think the way to do that is to unfavourably try and compare it with any funding formula for Scotland, because I think that's the wrong way to go. And one of the things that the islands in Scotland benefit from, which the Isle of Wight doesn't perhaps, is the priority that government gives to it, and I think that might be a way forward. There are clear challenges, and I'll wind up, Mr. Chair, by saying that our island communities matter to us, and of course they should matter. And as been mentioned by the Honourable Member for Arran and Cumbrae, the SNP government of Scotland has brought forward the Island Scotland Bill, and what that seeks to do is build on the foundations to provide better national and local economy frameworks for island development and their unique needs. And that will in effect see that our islands, when it comes to passing any legislation, they will be island proofed in order to make sure that islands are taken into consideration and not forgotten about. And that will help our island communities become more sustainable and vibrant as they face the future, which is something that we all wish to see. So I hope the Minister will reflect on the benefits of RET. I hope he will investigate the provisions of the Island Scotland's Bill and use that perhaps as a way of improving the lives and experiences and economies of the islands across the UK. Can I end, Mr. Chair, by urging all members here today, and even those who are not but have the good fortune to listen, to pay a visit to the beautiful islands of Cumbrae and Arran, where they will find the scenery breathtaking, the communities warm and welcoming, and like so many previous visitors will find that they wish to return again and again.